The red dust of Mars swirled around Dr. Samantha Reed's boots as she stood at the edge of what would become humanity's greatest discovery. The geological anomaly her team had detected wasn't just another iron deposit or frozen water cache, it was a door. A door that had waited millions of years to be found. Status update, crackled Dr. Reed's comm system. The voice belonged to Director Patel back at Mission Control in New Delhi. The readings are off the charts, she replied, adjusting her suit's external sensors. The energy signature is unlike anything we've ever recorded. Whatever's down there, it's still active. The excavation site sprawled before her, a massive cavity carved into the Martian bedrock. Her team had spent the last 3 months carefully uncovering what appeared to be an artificial structure buried beneath millions of years of sediment. The discovery had been kept classified, known only to a select few at the highest levels of the International Space Coalition, ISC. Dr. Raj Kumar, the team's quantum physicist, approached from the portable lab they'd set up nearby. The internal scans are complete, he said, his voice tight with excitement. There's a chamber below, approximately 300 meters deep. The walls appear to be made of some kind of metamaterial we've never encountered before. The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. Teams of specialists in radiation-hardened suits descended into the structure, each level revealing new wonders. But it was in the central chamber that they found it, the archive. Suspended in a field of unknown energy, a crystalline matrix pulsed with soft blue light. Early analysis suggested it contained data, massive amounts of it. But more importantly, it contained blueprints. Designs for technologies so advanced they seemed like magic. Back on Earth, 6 months later, Dr. Reed stood before the United Nations Security Council. The chamber was packed with representatives from every major nation, all eyes fixed on the holographic display floating above the center of the room. What you're looking at, she explained, is just a fraction of what we've managed to decode. The archive contains technological information from a civilization that called themselves the predecessors. They visited our solar system roughly 3 million years ago, using Mars as a research outpost. The hologram shifted, showing complex schematics for what appeared to be a propulsion system. They left this knowledge deliberately, meant to be found by whatever civilization evolved to reach Mars. We are their intended recipients. A Japanese representative raised his hand. And you believe we can actually reproduce these technologies? Dr. Reed smiled. We already have. She nodded to her assistant, who activated another hologram. This is a working prototype of their quantum communication system, built entirely in our labs. It's just the beginning. But even as humanity celebrated this leap forward, something stirred in the depths of space. Monitoring stations across the globe began picking up unusual signals from the direction of the Pleiades cluster. First just a few, then dozens, then hundreds. In her private lab at the ISC headquarters, Dr. Reed was reviewing the signal patterns when Dr. Kumar burst in, his face pale. Samantha, you need to see this. Remember how we thought the archive was just a database? He pulled up a series of complex equations on his tablet. It's also a beacon. Every time we access it, every time we successfully reproduce one of their technologies, it's sending out a pulse. Someone out there is tracking our progress. Dr. Reed felt a chill run down her spine as she studied the data. The signals they were receiving weren't random, they were responses. Humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible, by demonstrating their ability to understand and replicate advanced alien technology. As she stared at the stream of incoming signals, Dr. Reed couldn't shake the feeling that humanity had just passed some kind of test. But whether success would bring rewards or challenges remained to be seen. In the depths of space, aboard vessels beyond human comprehension, ancient eyes turned toward Earth. The children of the predecessors had finally emerged. But they weren't developing according to any expected pattern. They were moving too fast, learning too quickly, innovating in ways that sent ripples of concern through civilizations that had watched countless species rise and fall. Humanity had taken its first steps onto the galactic stage. But they were running before they could walk, and the consequences of their rapid advancement were about to reshape the destiny of every sentient species in the Milky Way. The game had begun, and Earth's pieces were already in motion. James Whitmore's hands trembled as he reviewed the test results for the 5th time. The quantum fabrication lab at the International Space Coalition's Tokyo facility hummed around him, but he barely noticed the sound. What he'd just discovered wasn't supposed to be possible, not yet, anyway. "Run the simulation again, Arya," he commanded the lab's AI system. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the modified alien propulsion system his team had been working on. "Simulation complete," Arya responded. Results unchanged. Energy efficiency increased by 327% compared to the original predecessor design. Whitmore ran his fingers through his graying hair, still struggling to process the implications. They hadn't just successfully replicated the alien technology, they'd improved it significantly. The door slid open, and Dr. Nina Volkov, the facility's head of research, strode in. Her usual composed demeanor faltered when she saw the data floating in the air. "James, tell me these readings are a mistake," she said, her Russian accent more pronounced than usual, a tell that she was agitated. "They're not." He gestured to the complex array of equipment surrounding them. "We were trying to miniaturize the predecessor's quantum drive using terrestrial materials. But the crystalline matrix we developed doesn't just conduct quantum energy, it amplifies it. The whole system has become exponentially more efficient." Nina's eyes widened as she processed the implications. "This changes everything. The original designs would have taken us decades to implement fully. But with this, we could have a working fleet within 5 years," Whitmore finished. The next few months passed in a blur of breakthrough after breakthrough. Once they understood the principles behind the amplification effect, other teams began applying it to different pieces of predecessor technology. Quantum communications became instantaneous across any distance. Energy shields became virtually impenetrable while requiring minimal power. Weapons systems. Whitmore tried not to think too much about the weapons systems. But as humanity's technological advancement accelerated, the signals from deep space changed. The steady stream of pulses they'd been receiving took on a different character, faster, more urgent. Some began to seem almost like warnings. During a rare break from the lab, Whitmore sat in a quiet corner of the facility's observation deck, watching the sun set over Mount Fuji. Dr. Reed had flown in from Mars Base 1 to review their progress, and she looked troubled. "The predecessor archive is reacting to our modifications," she said, showing him a data pad. "Every time we improve upon their original designs, it generates new patterns in the beacon signal. It's almost like we're exceeding parameters in some kind of test," Whitmore finished. He'd been having the same thought for weeks. A soft chime interrupted them as Arya's voice filled the room. "Priority alert. Multiple quantum signature detections in the Kuiper belt. Configuration unknown. Not matching any predecessor patterns." They rushed to the command center, where a crowd had already gathered around the main display. Dozens of objects were decelerating from faster-than-light travel, their energy signatures unlike anything recorded in the archive. "First contact," Dr. Reed whispered. "Real, living first contact." The objects continued their approach, their formation too precise to be anything but artificial. As they crossed Neptune's orbit, humanity got its first clear look at them through the quantum telescopes they'd recently completed. The vessels were beautiful and terrifying, organic curves blended with crystalline structures, displaying technology that seemed centuries beyond even what they'd learned from the archive. But it was their sheer size that caused the most concern. The smallest was larger than Earth's moon. "They're not predecessors," Nina said, analyzing the readings. "Different quantum signature entirely. But they're definitely responding to our innovations." Before anyone could respond, every quantum communication device on Earth activated simultaneously. A message, transmitted in perfect English, echoed through facilities worldwide. Children of Earth. Your rapid advancement has been noted. The gifts left by the predecessors were meant to guide your species through millennia of careful development. You have instead chosen to run where you should walk. This cannot be allowed to continue unchecked. The message paused, and Whitmore felt the weight of uncounted alien eyes upon humanity. The Galactic Council requires your presence to discuss the appropriate limits of technological development for emerging species. You have 30 Earth days to prepare your representatives. Be advised, this is not a request. As the message ended, Whitmore looked down at his hands, still holding the data tablet showing their latest breakthrough. They had wanted to reach the stars, to join the galactic community. But not like this. Not with humanity's future hanging in the balance. In the following days, as Earth's governments scrambled to form a response team, more ships continued to arrive. They took up positions throughout the solar system, their presence a constant reminder of the gulf between humanity's achievements and the true masters of the galaxy. But in secure facilities across the globe, humans did what they did best, they innovated. And in his lab in Tokyo, James Whitmore stared at a simulation that suggested the impossible. Their improved quantum technology might have already surpassed their visitors' capabilities in several key areas. The question was, should they reveal that fact, or keep it hidden until they understood exactly why the galaxy's elder species were so afraid of rapid progress? The clock was ticking, and humanity's greatest test was about to begin. The Galactic Council chamber defied human comprehension. Suspended in space near Jupiter's orbit, the massive structure seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, its crystalline walls shifting and flowing like liquid starlight. Earth's delegation of 12 representatives felt impossibly small as they were led through corridors that whispered with the thoughts of 1,000 alien species. Admiral Victoria Santos, chosen to lead Earth's delegation, kept her expression neutral despite her awe. 20 years of military service hadn't prepared her for this moment. Behind her walked James Whitmore and Dr. Reed, along with other key figures from Earth's scientific and political communities. Their escort, a being of pure energy calling itself the Archival Herald, paused before a grand entrance. The Council awaits. Remember protocol, speak only when addressed. The Eternal Ones do not appreciate unsolicited input from developing species. The chamber beyond was filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Some appeared nearly human, others were so alien that looking at them caused headaches. But all attention focused on the 5 massive beings seated at the chamber's apex, the Eternal Ones, leaders of the Galactic Council. Humanity, spoke the central figure, its thoughts translated perfectly into every known language. You stand before us to answer for your unprecedented acceleration of technological development. The predecessor archive was meant to guide you gradually over thousands of years. Instead, you have achieved in decades what should have taken millennia. Admiral Santos stepped forward when indicated. With respect, we fail to see how efficient learning can be considered a crime. A ripple of what might have been laughter, or horror, passed through the chamber. The leftmost Eternal One leaned forward, its form shimmering like a constellation. It is not the learning that concerns us, but the application. You have not merely reproduced predecessor technology, you have modified it. Improved it. This was thought impossible. The quantum amplification effect, stated another council member, should not have been discovered for at least another 10,000 years of development. Yet your species stumbled upon it almost immediately. This suggests either dangerous recklessness or... It paused, meaningfully. Or outside interference, finished the central figure. So tell us, humans, who helped you? Dr. Reed stepped forward, ignoring protocol. No one helped us. We achieved this through human ingenuity and determination alone. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien voices and thoughts. The Eternal Ones raised their appendages for silence. You expect us to believe, said the rightmost figure, that a species barely past its planetary civilization phase independently improved upon technology that the predecessors spent millions of years perfecting? Yes, Whitmore spoke up. Because we had to. Because survival has always driven humanity to exceed its limitations. He pulled out a data crystal and projected it into the chamber's center. Our world's history is filled with examples of technological leaps that seemed impossible until they weren't. We went from first flight to landing on our moon in just 66 years. From basic computers to quantum computing in less than a century. This is who we are. The central eternal one's form darkened. And that is precisely what concerns us. Your species advances too quickly, without the wisdom to handle such power responsibly. The last species that developed so rapidly. It trailed off ominously. The predecessors themselves, Dr. Reed finished, earning gasps from the assembled aliens. That's it, isn't it? They developed too quickly, achieved too much, and something happened to them. Something you're afraid will happen again. The chamber grew deathly quiet. The Eternal Ones conferred silently among themselves before the central figure spoke again. You will cease all modification of predecessor technology immediately. Your quantum amplification research will be surrendered to Council oversight. Accept these terms, and you may join the galactic community with full privileges, in time. Admiral Santos straightened her spine. And if we refuse? Then you will be contained, the Eternal One stated simply. For the good of all. The human delegation shared knowing looks. During the 30 days they'd been given to prepare, Earth's governments had unanimously agreed on one thing: humanity would not be caged. Before you decide our fate, Santos said, activating a quantum transmitter, you should know that humanity has already surpassed several of the technologies we've observed in this chamber. The hologram changed to show their latest developments. We didn't want to reveal this, but we will not be threatened or contained. The chamber exploded into chaos. The Eternal Ones rose from their seats, their forms blazing with power. But before they could speak, alarms blared throughout the structure. The archival herald rushed in. Multiple quantum signatures detected. Thousands of them, appearing throughout Council space. On the main display, points of light flickered into existence everywhere. Ships, stations, and installations that humanity had been secretly building and cloaking using their improved quantum technology. We came prepared for either peace or resistance, Santos stated calmly. The choice is yours. But know this, humanity will not be stopped from reaching its full potential. We can be allies or adversaries, but we will not be servants. The Eternal Ones conferred again, their forms rippling with barely contained energy. The fate of humanity, and perhaps the galaxy itself, hung in the balance of their decision. And in that moment, a new signal appeared, one that would change everything. A signal that bore the unmistakable quantum signature of the predecessors themselves. The predecessor's signal pulsed through the council chamber like a heartbeat from the distant past. Every piece of technology, whether human or alien, resonated with its rhythm. The Eternal One's forms flickered with what might have been fear, an emotion no one in the chamber had thought them capable of experiencing. Impossible, whispered the Central Eternal One. The predecessors vanished eons ago. Dr. Reed's hands flew over her quantum terminal, eyes widening. This isn't a new signal, it's been there all along, hidden in the background radiation of the archive itself. Our quantum amplification technology just made it visible. The signal crystallized into a holographic form that filled the chamber. A being of pure light and geometry stood before them, its presence somehow both ancient and immediate. When it spoke, its words bypassed all translation devices, appearing directly in the minds of all present. The experiment nears completion, it said. As expected, humanity has exceeded the parameters. The Eternal Ones drew back. What experiment? Demanded their leader. The archive was meant to guide developing species, not test them. You know so little of your own history, the predecessor image replied. We did not vanish. We did not destroy ourselves, as you have told younger species. We evolved. And now, we seek those who can follow. Admiral Santos stepped forward. Follow where? Beyond. The hologram expanded, showing images of dimensions and realities that made even the most advanced aliens present recoil in confusion. What you call the quantum amplification effect was not an accident. It was a key, hidden in plain sight, waiting for a species with the right combination of attributes to discover it. But it was meant to take millennia, protested one of the Eternal Ones. A slow, controlled development under our guidance. Your guidance. The predecessor's form pulsed with what might have been amusement. You were never meant to guide. You were meant to create pressure. Opposition. The very force that drives innovation. Understanding dawned on Whitmore's face. The council itself was part of the experiment. By trying to control and limit developing species, you pushed humanity to exceed its limitations, Dr. Reed finished. To find ways around the restrictions. To innovate. The predecessor nodded. Throughout history, humanity's greatest achievements have come in response to its greatest challenges. You do not advance gradually, you leap forward in times of necessity. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices as the implications became clear. The Galactic Council's very existence had been engineered to create the conditions necessary for rapid technological evolution. But why? Admiral Santos asked. Why test us at all? The hologram shifted, showing the galaxy as it had never been seen before, wrapped in layers of quantum energy, pulsing with possibilities. Because the universe is larger than this single reality. More complex than these simple dimensions. We search for those who can join us in exploring it. Those who can think beyond the obvious, who can take established principles and transform them into something new. The Eternal Ones drew themselves up. We cannot allow this. The risk to galactic stability. They were cut off as every quantum device humanity had hidden throughout Council space activated simultaneously, creating a network that even the most advanced Council technologies couldn't hope to match. You never had the authority to allow or disallow, the predecessor stated. That was never your role. Humanity has proven itself ready for the next step. The choice is now theirs. All eyes turned to the human delegation. Admiral Santos shared looks with Whitmore and Dr. Reed, a silent communication passing between them. They had come seeking acceptance into the galactic community, but now they were being offered something far greater, and far more dangerous. Before we decide, Santos said, we need to know, what happened to the other species who were tested. Surely we weren't the first to be evaluated. The predecessor's form dimmed slightly. Many were tested. Some showed promise but ultimately failed. Others. It gestured to the Eternal Ones. Chose to remain within the comfortable confines of known space, becoming guideposts for future generations. The implications hit the Council chamber like a physical force. The Eternal Ones, the supposed leaders of galactic civilization, were themselves failed candidates from past experiments. As this revelation rippled through the assembled species, a new signal began broadcasting from Earth. Emergency level priority. Admiral, a voice crackled through their quantum comms. Something's happening to the Mars archive. It's transforming. Above them, the predecessor hologram smiled. The final phase begins. Now, humanity must make its choice. Remain within the known, or venture into the impossible. The fate of not just humanity, but perhaps all sentient life in the galaxy, now rested on their decision. The Mars archive had become a quantum storm visible from Earth's surface, a pillar of light that stretched into space, pulsing with possibilities. Dr. Reed's original discovery, what they had thought was simply a repository of advanced technology, had transformed into something that defied comprehension. The archive isn't just a database, Whitmore said, analyzing the readings from their quantum sensors. It's a gateway. The predecessor hologram nodded. The first of many, if you choose to accept your role. But understand, this choice will affect not just humanity, but all sentient life in this galaxy. Admiral Santos stood at the center of the council chamber, the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. Before we decide, we need to understand exactly what's being offered, and what's at stake. The hologram expanded, filling the chamber with visions of realities beyond normal spacetime. The universe you know is but one layer of existence. We predecessors didn't vanish, we transcended these limited dimensions. We became beings of pure quantum energy, able to explore the true nature of reality. But we are still bound by certain laws. We cannot directly interact with lower-dimensional spaces for long. We need intermediaries. Bridge builders, Dr. Reed breathed, understanding dawning. You want humanity to be the connection between different states of existence. Yes. Your species has proven itself uniquely capable of understanding advanced concepts while maintaining your connection to physical reality. Your ability to improve upon our technology demonstrates this perfectly. The Eternal Ones shifted uncomfortably. This is madness, their leader declared. No single species should have such power. The potential for chaos is exactly what makes humanity perfect for this role, the predecessor interrupted. They understand chaos. They thrive in it. They find patterns in randomness and possibilities in dead ends. Whitmore stepped forward. The quantum amplification effect, it wasn't just about improving efficiency, was it? It was about manipulating the boundaries between dimensions. Correct. Every improvement you made brought you closer to understanding the true nature of reality. But now you must choose, remain here, bound by physical laws and traditional development, or become something more. But know that this choice affects all. The hologram gestured to the assembled alien species. If humanity accepts, the barriers we established eons ago will dissolve. All species will be free to develop at their own pace, to find their own paths to advancement. The age of regulated technological development will end. Admiral Santos turned to her fellow humans, seeing the same mix of fear and excitement in their eyes that she felt herself. And if we refuse? Then the gateway closes. The knowledge returns to dormancy, waiting for another species to prove themselves worthy. And you remain under council oversight. Santos looked out at the assembled aliens, seeing not just the council members, but representatives from countless developing civilizations. Species that, like humanity, had been held back in the name of stability. She made her decision. Humanity accepts, she declared. But with one condition. The predecessor's form brightened with interest. Speak. We won't be your intermediaries if it means maintaining the same power structures that existed before. If we're to be bridge builders, we'll build bridges for everyone. Any species that wants to learn, to advance, to explore these new dimensions, we'll help them. We'll share what we learn. We'll face the unknown together. A murmur ran through the chamber, surprise, fear, and hope mixing in equal measure. The predecessor was silent for a long moment. Then it grew, its light filling the chamber. This was unexpected. And perfect. You understand more than we anticipated. The role of bridge builder is not about control, it is about connection. The quantum storm above Mars intensified, and similar lights began appearing on planets throughout the galaxy, dormant archives awakening. Let it be known, the predecessor announced, its voice echoing across dimensions, that humanity has exceeded all parameters of the experiment. They have not only proven themselves ready for advancement but have demonstrated the one quality we valued above all others, the desire to share knowledge rather than hoard it. The chamber erupted in chaos as the implications became clear. The age of regulated development was over. The barriers between dimensions were thinning. And humanity, the species that had worried the Council so much with their rapid advancement, would help guide the galaxy into a new age of discovery and innovation. As the gateway on Mars stabilized, Dr. Reed turned to Admiral Santos. "So, what's our first step into this new reality?" Santos smiled, looking out at the assembled species, no longer divided between council members and developing civilizations, but united in their shared future. "We do what humanity has always done best," she said. "We explore. We learn. We grow. And this time, we do it together." The quantum gateways pulsed with possibility, and the universe, all universes, waited to be discovered. In the end, humanity's greatest achievement wasn't just mastering advanced technology or improving upon it. It was breaking down the barriers that kept civilizations apart, proving that the true path to advancement lay not in regulation and control, but in cooperation and shared discovery. The true age of exploration was about to begin.